I know we were up on the Carolina Weather Net. We're just waiting for YouTube, our standalone YouTube event, to wake up and join us here on this special broadcast on this Saturday, January the 8th, 2022. I am James Brierton with you in Charlotte. On the right-hand side of your screen is the standby screen we have from our friends at NASA Wallops, who will be making another attempt tonight at launching a sounding rocket to study the origin of soft X-rays in the atmosphere. These are lower energy X-rays than the ones you may be familiar with, of course, with medical imaging and the such. And soft X-rays interfere with radio signals and communication signals and GPS in the atmosphere. Now, their launch window was set to open at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, about 20 minutes from now, and run until 3 a.m. And we did just get an update not too long ago from NASA Wallops letting us know that they will not be launching anytime previous to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a whopping 15 minutes from now. And that's because the science officer is continuing to monitor the solar wind conditions for tonight's launch. So what we're going to be doing here on this live coverage on the Carolina Weather Net is standing by for that coverage to start from NASA Wallops. And when they do, we anticipate being able to see some live pictures of the launch, along with listening into their radio communications and getting an idea of what some of those conditions are. My name is James Brierton. I am one of the hosts and producers of the Carolina Weather Group. It's a weekly show that airs right here on this YouTube channel for North Carolina, South Carolina, but beyond. So if you're joining us tonight, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We cover science, technology, and more. As a matter of fact, we're going to be kicking off our 2022 season this coming Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with an interview with a reporter from Wired Magazine who is studying nano satellites. She's reporting on this trend of more people like you and I being able to launch things into space, and some of these things are really, really tiny. So we're so glad to be able to bring you tonight's live coverage of this NASA Wallops launch because we know so many of you are space fans, and we do have an entire playlist on our YouTube channel dedicated to all of our shows about space, and I plan to introduce you to some of them while we continue to stand by for tonight's launch, which won't be starting for another 50 minutes or so. Hello to Jackie, who is watching from Asheville tonight, where I imagine, Jackie, it has got to be cold there. It is 38 here in Charlotte, and so let's check right now those Asheville current temperatures. I know our own Evan Fisher is up that way, and he was reporting some single-digit frigid temperatures where he was this morning. Looks like you're at 35, so you and I not too far apart when it comes to the temperature trends tonight, dipping down to 30 where you are. I know my heat has been on all day just to keep this house comfortable, so I hope you are staying warm. The other thing I should mention before we kind of introduce you to some of the other space offerings we have here at the Carolina Weather Group is the thing that's probably brought so many of our local subscribers into tonight's feed, and that is the potential to be able to see this rocket launch in the night sky, weather conditions permitting, and of course, your line of sight to the east permitting. So if you've got big pine trees off to your east, this isn't going to work for you. But here's how this is going to work. When they launch, could be tonight, frankly, could be another night, this will be able to be seen in the night sky about 3 degrees up off the horizon as you look out towards Wallops. So for eastern North Carolina, you're going to kind of want to look to the north and the east. If you're joining us from, say, my hometown in Long Island, New York, you're going to want to look south, about 3 degrees off the horizon. North Carolina from the edges of Greensboro into Raleigh, and even more so along the outer banks like Elizabeth City, you've got a chance of being able to see this tonight. Where I am in Charlotte, where Jackie is in Asheville, the best view we're going to get is right here on YouTube. That purple ring you see on your screen, that means you'll be able to see it in the night sky about 30 to 44 seconds after it launches. That's right, the whole show for you outside is going to be about 15 seconds long. And of course, the closer you are to where they are launching there on Wallops Island, just south of the Delmarva Peninsula, you can see it there highlighted in green. The closer you are to that origin, the sooner you're going to see it hit the night sky. Now, this is not the first launch that NASA Wallops has certainly done, and not the first that we've covered right here. So while we continue to stand by for tonight's launch attempt of this sounding rocket, I would like to revisit a moment we had earlier this year when they launched yet another sounding rocket from this very same launch pad in coastal Virginia. I was sitting in this chair. I was joined by NASA Ambassador Tony Rice. He's located in Raleigh. And we had our own Dan Whitaker, one of the hosts of the Carolina Weather Group and our storm-chasing photographer extraordinaire, positioned along the Outer Banks. It was a setup much like tonight, where night after night, the launch got delayed until it finally happened, and the stars literally aligned for us as we had everyone in position. So on the right-hand side of your screen, we'll be continuing to monitor the live pictures we're anticipating out of Wallops tonight, while the left-hand side of your screen replays a launch from earlier this year where we captured exactly what some of these things look like when you view them with your own naked eye in the sky.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds and counting.
Right side of your screen, Carolina Weather Group on the Outer Banks. Left side of your screen, the feed from NASA, where they might be slightly out of sync.
PTM, go. F10,
go.
Swarm,
Go.
CPR,
Go.
ACS,
Go.
EDS,
Go.
Dartmouth,
Go.
Goddard,
Go.
UNH,
Go.
PI,
Go.
MM's go, SRPO,
SRPO, go.
check 197.
1 minute.
All stations are go, reporting go for launch, 1 minute and counting on the final night of the countdown. Can't write a better story than this.
You excited, Tony?
Always. Never gets old.
-40 seconds.
-30. Payload firing circuit armed.
There we go, folks. A moment I think we've all been waiting for.
20.
Just moments away.
ACS check 199. -10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
16
9,
tracking.
+10.
Radars 2, 5, and 18 are tracking.
ACM is
You
enabled.
just saw that the flame disappear. It disappeared into the clouds.
20.
So we're probably not going to be able to see flames. Maybe Dan will. out
Radar
on the
3
coast.
has a good track on the booster.
Got Dan's picture now up.
Second stage ignition.
NASA feed on your left.
Again, as we told you,
Second stage separation and third stage ignition.
it's a beautiful, beautiful show here. Again, if the camera you're on the screen right now is kind of in and out, again, based on the clouds in the Wallops area. But kudos to our tracking team, doing an awesome job of staying locked in.
Live view again on the right side from the Outer Banks. We'll see if Dan Whitaker either sees the launch
Plus
or the
1
vapors,
minute.
which are about 9 minutes out.
Third stage burnout.
OSS, this is RSO on Channel 1. You're clear to the pad. Be advised there were some chunks coming down. We noticed on video. Over.
Dan's profile picture coming up. As we wait to regain connection from him, here's a live look back at NASA.
Yep, no
Oh, we have a
stone
live picture
ejection.
from Dan here. Right side of your screen. Dan, I think, is seeing this thing, Tony. This is a live look, Carolina Weather Group camera on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. You can see the illumination of the rocket now as it heads away from the coast. The picture from NASA on your left is dark. We'll keep Dan's picture up here full. Some of you may be getting the same view if you're along the eastern coast. And so just enough break in that cloud cover for Dan and hopefully a whole lot of you along
Separation.
the east coast to see that. We'll keep those Carolina Weather Group exclusive pictures up on the right-hand side of your screen as we're now looking at mission control from NASA on the left.
Radar 3 is on the main vehicle now. 2, 3, 5, and 18 are tracking.
Barium number 1 separation, number 2 separation.
Got some of you in chat telling us you're seeing similar views. That is outstanding. Such a short window of time. Thank you to Dan Whitaker for these live pictures from the Outer Banks. In about 8 minutes or so, part of this experiment will tell us whether or not we'll see any of the vapor. I think we have audio from Dan Whitaker. Dan, what's it like out there in the Outer Banks?
That was an incredible view. We're still seeing trails of greenish, teal, and blue kind of in the sky with some white colors behind it. I don't know if you can see that. I actually got an incredibly clear video on my DSLR of that, of a close-up.
About
Hey, Bob.
Bob. They're
High power.
calling
We'll share here soon.
the
60 is seeing strong
secondary.
signal on ejectable.
They're calling the secondary payloads Bob. So if you hear them speak of Bob, that's what they're talking about.
That last voice was the
EDR,
public affairs
can you meet me
officer
on
from
5?
NASA. Dan, you'll have to let us know if you see those vapors coming up in a little more than 5 minutes or so. I know they're hard for the human eye to see, and I'm not sure how hard they are for the camera's eye to see as well, but I know that's the next thing so many of us will be looking for, and then we'll also be looking online tonight. I know you said you had a secondary camera that was also positioned. We're looking forward to seeing that as well.
Well, folks, there you have it. It's like a great season finale of your favorite TV show, or the last 4th and goal on your favorite football team, and a touchdown at the end. So congratulations to the team for having this the tenacity to stay focused for this whole long window, and just to get this launch beautifully and perfectly tonight. So congratulations to the launch team, and thank you to everyone for staying with us over the past week. We appreciate
Tony Rice,
your
I see you're back at your
enthusiasm.
computer there in Raleigh. NASA Ambassador has been with us tonight for this stream. I mean, it came down to almost the very end of this last window and the last night of the launch. Did you get to see anything there in Raleigh, Tony?
I saw a Delta flight heading to LaGuardia. That was about it. We're clouded out here as well in Raleigh. So I appreciate Dan sharing his views with us.
I know. Looking forward to his secondary view as well, too. We'll continue to listen into those radio comms, mission control on the left.
Taking Bob target.
Some of you in
that's
chat
about
telling
it
us that you're seeing it. Some of you
from
saying you're
Wallops
seeing
Island
clouds
tonight.
as well. That's what I got here in
We will
Charlotte, just
have-
like Tony's got there in
Pod B is
Raleigh.
eject. Positive brake wires and marker switches.
Sounds
Jonathan
like the
saying
Bob's
seeing it in Lenore
doors
County
are
Fair.
opening.
Seeing strong signals on TM links 6 and 8.
Jason's got it in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Tony, can you remind us again, if people are just joining us and still keeping their eye to the eastern sky, what the vapors are that they're looking for?
So the vapors are actually...
Unfortunately, we're not going to
acting as-
have video of the vapor tracers. However, if you are still hanging around, you should see them, if you're going to be able to see them in your location, in about 5 minutes. We'll hang around here in case there are questions about it, but we are seeing some amazing imagery coming in.
Do you think
of the launch.
on the Outer Banks with our cameras might be able to see it, Tony?
Very possibly. Hopefully so.
All right.
Post them so we can see them.
Based on what Dan was saying about the clouds.
We'll hang out a little bit longer.
Yeah, we
Again,
should have
we
a great
won't have
view.
any video of the
We'll continue to hold. That's Dan's picture on the right-hand side. NASA feed on the left, the voice of the public affairs officer. So they're saying they don't have any cameras to show their audience the vapors. We're going to try. That's the best we can do is try. We've got Dan in position for that. Michael says he's got a great shot from Rhode Island, looking south.
Oh, wow.
To the Kinetics launch team. Again, please feel free.
But to answer your earlier question, the vapors are there to interact with the upper atmosphere. They act as indicators. They act as tracers. And the principal investigator, what he or she is looking for is to better understand how energy interacts up in the upper atmosphere. So that particular vapor that's being released, once it's hit by sunlight, will fluoresce and start to follow the magnetic lines, so we can see how those electrons are moving around.
Jennifer says she didn't get a chance to see it here in Charlotte, North Carolina because of clouds. Makes me feel like I didn't miss anything outside, as I am also in Charlotte.
So James, I'm going to try and get this video to you in just a second here, and so we can at least replay that back from my secondary camera. So just if we hold on for another minute, I should have this up soon.
Voice of Dan Whitaker, Carolina Weather Group, out there on the Outer Banks. We will stand by for that, and looking forward to that, Dan. And thank you so much for providing that angle. You got to see from Dan's view just a few moments ago live what hopefully some of you got to see as well, which was that rocket finally launching. Oh, man, our lower thirds don't support emojis. I was going to put a little rocket picture there. We'll continue to watch Dan's picture to see if we see those vapors coming up in the next few moments or so. And Dan said he's also going to try to re-rack for us video of the launch. Tony, does it normally take a week or more to get rockets off the ground?
Oh, I could tell you some stories. There was one particular shuttle launch that my family went down for twice. And I when I had a chance to talk to the public affairs officer later when I finally met him at another launch, I commented to him that my wife got to really hate the sound of his voice because it was usually him coming over the public address system with a very folksy, well, doesn't look like the clouds are gonna, or the rain or the whatever, basically the weather wasn't going to cooperate with us. That particular one, I want to say, took a couple of months to get off. And they would try for a week. They'd stand down for a couple of days, give the team time to rest, and pick back up.
Sightings in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Akron, Ohio, and Ottawa.
Wow.
So please continue to send us the locations. We're really excited to be able to track them to verify our viewing map. So very exciting to hear this. Continue to send us your information and your images.
Honey Mustard able to use the emojis in the chat.
Oh, we have a crazy view here.
All right, we're coming out to Dan Dan Whitaker. Go ahead, Dan.
We've got some greenish yellow colors changing out here direct to the east. Actually, a little bit farther east from where the rocket initial trail was seen. I don't know if you can see this
very
well
faintly
on this screen, but it's directly in the middle. Yeah, it's a little more vibrant here in person. Trying to capture it, but it's disappearing now. But definitely some different colors happening in the sky. We've got some what definitely appear to be vapors happening in a couple different areas of the sky, and shifting colors and shifting locations. It's very interesting for sure.
Dan, the cameraman is my hero, is the comment coming in right now into chat. Other streams are just control room. Well, that's right, because I don't think other streams have a guy out on the beach. So, Dan, thank you very much for giving us views that other people may not be able to see where they are right now, whether it be for clouds or distance or geography or whatnot.
I see folks clapping in the control center, which often gives me good news. I see thumbs up.
Dan, you mentioned seeing some green colors.
Yeah, wait, you're clear to release the airspace.
Dan, I'm going to repeat that question. Did you see any purple as well?
Saw some purplish blue colors, but most of the time more towards the blue spectrum when I caught it.
The clapping hands, thumbs up, excitement, high fives in the control room, air hugs and abound. That shows good signs from the PI and the launch team. So again, if you're able to see the cloud, please feel free to take a photo and send it to us, tweet us or post it in a comment on Facebook. Again, send us your launch images if you were able to see the launch tonight. We're getting some amazing photos coming in.
Sounds like we should send NASA our live stream.
You absolutely should. You're doing a great job out there, Dan. So I'm over on Twitter looking at some images that are coming through from various folks. I'm retweeting them if anybody wants to go out there and look at those. I'm RTP Hokie, Hokie, and I've seen a couple from Hatteras and from New Jersey And where's this one from? Oh, great. Somebody tweeted a picture of their clouds. That's helpful. We've got those in
We got
in
plenty of
spades
clouds.
here.
We're looking at your Twitter feed right now, Tony.
LOS just simply means loss of signal. Nothing to be concerned
Jim's got a very similar view to Dan. Oh, out there from Hatteras. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. Poked out there nicely into the Atlantic. Get a good view.
Wow, the view from Trenton, New Jersey is gorgeous as well, too.
Pretty amazing.
And that was a launch that we covered right here on the Carolina Weather Group earlier this year. If you are just joining us, it is Saturday, January 8th, 2022, 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the nose. I am James Brierton joining you from Charlotte, North Carolina. Tonight's launch is delayed until 11:30, half an hour from now. We are awaiting this launch of a sounding rocket from the Wallops launch facility there in Southern Virginia. And the reason I think so many of you are here with us tonight is because you're hoping to catch this in the night sky, much like Dan Whitaker did earlier this year with a previous sounding rocket. So let's go ahead and show you on the map right now where the visibility of this rocket will be when we get it off the ground. It's going to be launching there from the peninsula in Southern Virginia. That's where the bullseye is with the 0 to 10 seconds visibility time in the green. Working our way out from that bullseye, we have southern New Jersey, we have Delaware, we have portions of Maryland, Virginia, and northeastern North Carolina, say the Elizabeth City area. You'll be able to view this about 10 to 30 seconds after it launches. And then our third and final ring in purple includes a wider circumference, New York City, Mike, and let's see, we got Richard watching from eastern shores of Maryland. He'll be able to see this fairly quickly. But Mike and Philly, I think you're going to be right there in that purple. So, maybe call it 25 seconds for you. Otherwise, everyone else in the purple, including more of North Carolina in our home turf, 30 to 44 seconds. It's going to be about 3 degrees off the horizon after this thing launches. Now, our launch has been delayed until about 11:30 tonight. And the launch window for this attempt goes until 3 a.m. So they've got quite the amount of time. They are watching solar winds right now. The chief science officer on the mission is waiting for some different solar winds so that they can collect the data that they need. And a reminder that the data that they're looking to collect today is to help them determine the origin of soft X-rays in the atmosphere. Hard X-rays is what gives us medical imagery. Soft X-rays interfere with things like radio communication, GPS, and all of those frequencies that might broadcast through the Earth's atmosphere. On the right-hand side of your screen are the live pictures that NASA Wallops will be providing us in about 7.5 minutes or so is when they anticipate starting their live coverage, assuming that their launch could happen as early as
T-minus 1 minute,
11:30.
30 seconds and counting.
And again, we were watching a previous broadcast a little bit earlier there that we captured here on the Carolina Weather Group. You can find us right here on this YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. We're going to be kicking off our 2022 season of our weekly show dedicated to discussing weather science, technology, and more. That starts Wednesday. We have an interview with a Wired magazine reporter who's studying nanosatellites. So we're so happy to be able to bring you tonight's launch because we know it is relevant to so many of you space fans out there. We do have, let's see, Mike's got no clouds, so that's good for Mike. Let's check out where some of those clouds are at this hour, because even if you are inside that visibility range, obviously, if you've got clouds in the way, that is going to interfere with your viewing potential. So I've got clouds here in Charlotte, North Carolina. If I was even in the viewing potential, which I am not, they would certainly disrupt my view if not for my tree line. We do have some other light, low atmosphere clouds in other portions of the Mid-Atlantic. We can see some of those, especially along the Appalachian Mountains, say in maybe Charlottesville or Harrisonburg, Virginia. So there could be some pockets out there. Now, certainly, as so many of you in the YouTube YouTube comments are telling us. There are also still some good pockets of visibility out there where those lower clouds are not interfering. So all in all, I think it's a relatively good night. I know when we did that launch earlier in the year that we just finished watching, cloud cover was certainly a problem. So while we wait about 5 minutes until we can check in with the folks at NASA Wallops, we want to maybe learn a little bit more about some of the previous space programs we have had on this show. And let's check in here with Dr. Tracy Farnara. She was on our show from November of 2021 talking about her potential future trips to space. And you might even recognize her. She was in the spinoff of Mythbusters after Jamie and Adam left. So let's check out this clip here from the Carolina Weather Group. But we talked about it a little before the show. And I'll ask you now officially on the record. What's the deal? You going to space?
I don't know. I don't know. So I'm really humbled to have made it so far with Dear Moon. That was so unexpected. You know, there are millions of people that applied. And then you get an email every step you pass, you go and do something, you know, you go to the next level, the next level, the next level. And you kind of can't believe it's real, because how did your application get picked out of all within days? I don't even know how they did it. Like, it was so fast. And I was not happy with my video because I didn't think that I even stood a chance. There were hundreds of thousands of people that got to that stage. So I just put together something that I already had. I didn't make anything new. And I was like, this is terrible. Even my Instagram followers said it was terrible. They're like,
they're the most frank.
Try again.
Wow.
Maybe they had your name on a short list already. They were waiting for you to apply.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. They just.
And for anybody who doesn't know, this is a SpaceX mission. A gentleman has bought a bunch of seats, as I understand it, right? And he's trying to find some people to go with him to a mission to the moon, but not to the moon.
Right. Which was another thing that was miscommunicated. I'll tell you what, I thought I was going to be the first woman on the moon.
That would be exciting.
Apparently that's not true.
You know, I'd be loosely. The word "to" is loose, I guess.
Right. I would be the first woman to loop the moon. I mean, it is going farther than any human has gone on that mission, because it is going past the moon in order to loop it. Very cool stuff. At the same time, I think I'm ready to be a real astronaut, you know?
I mean, that's a hell of a sightseeing tour, though.
I know. I'm just trying to prepare myself just in case, you know? I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something that's not just sitting there.
Right. They needed that on the last flight when the toilet broke. They needed somebody with some know-how.
You're exactly right. See, that I can do. If you, I mean, all the things you need to survive an environmental engineer, like, it's good to have around in those kind of situations where you might not survive if you don't have water or air.
Did their toilet break on the last launch?
Apparently the fan that creates the proper suction malfunctioned. So they had to be walked through, according to the article I read. Obviously I wasn't there. They had to be walked through how to repair it. And then apparently it was further hampered by the radio blackouts.
There's a great pun to be made there that I'll not say since we're recording, but that is unfortunate.
Everyone wants to know how you go to the bathroom in space, and they hear that the toilet's broken.
Very true.
It's a crappy situation.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
I wonder what the backup protocol is for when your space toilet fails. Is there like a space chamber pot or something? Or
chamber pot?
I don't want to derail this entire conversation, but I recently did long distance Amtrak, and there was a point where we didn't have any power. They were changing engines. They were like, no one use the toilet. It is suction powered.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, somebody in the train car used the toilet, and it was the longest hour of my life.
Oh, man.
So I wouldn't imagine what the spacecraft was like.
That sounds terrible. Yeah, because they were gone for like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So that would be long.
I mean, is there training involved with this?
Yeah, there is. I think that there's 2 years worth of training involved, at least. And so it's funny. I get, don't tell anybody this because I'm not supposed to admit this, but I get a little sick spinning. So I've been practicing spinning. I've been doing these like pirouettes or whatever. And then I go on the playground and spin. And then I get sick and then it ruins my night. But it gets better every single time. And there's these things that you can do to reduce your motion sickness. And they're games. They're games where you look at these figures and you figure out what's going on. Like they're simple games, but because it puts your eyes in different places, and they're all like there's a lot of what's it called where it looks like something but it's not. It's really just
optical illusion.
Yes, optical illusion, and it actually helps.
All right, we have our live feed now up from NASA Wallops. That's on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll make it full after watching that clip from the Carolina Weather Group. I'm James Brierton. I'll hang out with you. Let's listen in.
Elevation 70.5 and advisement complete. And work.
And this is certainly why I stick around, because there were moments of silence. So thanks for hanging out with us here.
And good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight.
And we'll listen to their public information officer.
Of the DXL payload, which is the diffuse X-rays from the local galaxy payload, flying on a NASA Black Brant IX suborbital Saturday rocket from Wallops. This is the first Saturday rocket launch of 2022, and also the first rocket launch from Wallops in this current year. So far, everything has been progressing smoothly during the counts. Right now, we're doing some testing of the attitude control system.
This is LC. Launcher settings are azimuth 95.0, elevation 70.5. Copy, thank you.
And the attitude control system, or as we call it, the ACS, allows us to point the payload when it's during the flight, once it gets up near apogee. Right now, weather conditions are really good here for Wallops.
177, break LCACS. This is LC. Yes, sir. Please adjust launcher settings to azimuth 95.0, elevation 80.5. And work.
We do have clear skies here at Wallops tonight, and low winds on the ground level, so we're looking good there. Out in the recovery area for the payload, we're also looking at acceptable seas, so tonight's a good night to launch, so hopefully we're measuring the X-rays, the soft X-rays that are impacting Earth's atmosphere, and part of that is related to the solar winds. So provided that the solar winds cooperate tonight, we'll be able to get this launch off. Launch window tonight does run until 3 a.m. so we have plenty of time, but we are hoping to be able to get this off at the front part of the window tonight. So the rocket we're flying on is a Black Brant IX rocket. The length of the entire vehicle with the payload is about 57 feet tall. Payload weight tonight is just a little over 1,100 pounds. Again, this is a Santa rocket, so it's going to be very fast for those who are out trying to watch this. We have what we call, well, you'll see on the screen there that the actual rocket is boxed in a styrofoam type material, and this is keeping the instruments on the payload and also the rocket motors nice and warm while it's sitting on the pad. It is a little cold here at Wallops in the low 30s, so we want to keep everything comfortable and ready to go when we do launch. So when it does launch, it just rips through the styrofoam in order for the rocket to fly.
ACS, this is LC. Launcher settings are azimuth 95.0, elevation 80.5. Copy, thank you. ACS checks 178, break LCACS.
This is LC.
Yes, sir, please adjust launcher settings to azimuth 105.0, elevation 80.5.
And work.
Minutes and holding.
All right, James Brierton here with live coverage on the Carolina WeatherNet as we continue to stand by. I'm going to turn down the audio from NASA Wallops for just a moment. For those of you just joining us, here is a map that shows the potential visibility of this rocket launch on the night's horizon sky if you are living across the Mid-Atlantic from New York City through the nation's capital and into portions here in our home territory of North Carolina. North Carolina, you will have the visibility of this about 3 degrees off the horizon if you look to your north and to your east about 30 to 44 seconds after launch. This only extends as far into the Carolinas as, say, Greensboro or Raleigh. Where I am in Charlotte, I've got no show. You can see it in a good chunk of Virginia, of course, throughout the Delmarva Peninsula, into Philadelphia, into the New York tri-state area, minus, say, Connecticut. You're going to want to look, again, about 3 degrees off the horizon towards whichever direction from where you live is Delmarva. So if you're in North Carolina, that's north and east. If you're in the nation's capital, it's east and a little south, and it's almost due east if you're watching from Philadelphia. We are at a 15-minute hold, which means that we have 15 minutes left on the countdown. We don't anticipate the countdown is going to resume anytime between now and 11:30, so we are hanging out together for the next 14 minutes, and this launch window goes until 3 a.m. So what that means is at any point between now and 3 a.m., they could resume the countdown. They would still have 15 minutes left to count before the rocket were to launch. These things are a lot of hurry up and wait. I'll try to answer whatever questions I can for you in chat. The purpose of this rocket is to help scientists understand soft X-rays, the origin of which is unknown, but the impacts are interference with radio signals, like GPS, in our atmosphere. Hard X-rays, by comparison, are medical-grade imagery. Hello to our superfan, Noah Weather Radio Man. Will this be visible in Asheville? Unfortunately, the best visibility of this launch on Asheville will be right here on YouTube. You won't be able to see it that far to the west. Let's listen back in here to the NASA Wallops Public Information Officer, who is also monitoring radio communication from Mission Control. I can answer another question here while we have silence on the other side from NASA. Legacy asks, what will this look like in the night sky? It's going to look like a shooting star, more or less. I imagine your visibility will be better the closer you are. I can actually show you why we wait, if you'd like, what some other launches have looked like that we've captured here on the Carolina Weather Group. If you were with us when our coverage here started at about 10:45 or so, you saw some video replay that I'm going to scrub through here for you in real time from a launch that happened in May. And we had a photographer on the beach who captured what that looked like. And let me just show you what his professional photography looked like. It looked just like that on the left side of the screen. That is what a previous sounding rocket launch looked like from Wallops. That's not to say they all necessarily look exactly the same, because every mission's a little bit different, every trajectory a little bit different, and of course the angle of the sun and the moon and all that jazz in the atmosphere is a little bit different. But that, I think, paints a broad picture of what you might be able to expect as we continue to stand by for tonight's launch. Oh, there's my mic. So I'm listening to the audio on the right side of the screen, and they are not saying anything. That's why I'm continuing to talk. I have no intention of talking over them tonight. So tonight's rocket will be flying through the atmosphere. Not technically outer space unless you're, one of those fancy billionaires who likes to pretend he went to space. They will be recovering the rocket in the ocean a short time after launch.
This is polling to verify all system checks are complete before powering off. PI. PI is go. PTM. Go. PLC. Go. ACS.
ACS go.
VS.
VS go.
check 185.
Scientists at Mission Control continuing to check their statuses here. Again, we have a 15-minute hold. This launch goes until 3 a.m. Coming up this Wednesday right here on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel, it's the launch of our 2022 season of our weekly Wednesday night series. We are going to be talking about tiny satellites, nanosatellites, and how they can help track storms and improve weather forecasts.
All radars have LOS on the transponder.
I hope you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss this Wednesday's new episode. We've got Jamie watching here from North Carolina. Hello to you, Jamie. We got Richard, who's about 2 hours away by car on the eastern shores of Maryland. Mike's in Philly.
ACS check 187.
Let us know in the comments where you're watching from.
PLC check 186.
M&O, you can stop.
Verify, payload check complete.
This is verifying payload checks are complete. Check 189 with a caveat. We are still up over TM on fiber to keep tabs on the vacuum.
Copy all. PM M&O, step 188, recorder stopped. And SRPO and we're going to have a science brief before we pick up the 15.
That science briefing will be important because that is what has caused tonight's hold. The science officer wasn't happy with conditions.
Would it make more sense to pick it up at the 40 or 30 mark because of the belly band?
So you suggesting recycling to T-minus 40 minutes?
Yeah, for now, because we do need a science update, and we do need to wait to release the belly band once we know everything is squared away and everything is ready.
Copy.
SRPO, do you agree or?
Yeah, SRPO agrees.
Okay.
Now, what that sounded like to me was that they were going to add time to their hold countdown, which has been at 15 minutes. The launch window was scheduled to open tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, some 24 minutes ago.
Are you prepared to give us a science update?
The science update will be critical. Vincent, staying up late tonight. Welcome.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, while we're waiting, this is a good time to go ahead and align pad cameras.
Yeah, you can check that step. Pad 2 cameras have been aligned.
Copy.
And the pad is clear.
TD, this is MM. PI will be ready for science brief in 2 to 3 minutes.
Copy.
TD, this is RSO.
Go for TD.
Are we going to scrub test rockets this evening?
I'll wait to hear what the PI says. If science is way off, then we'll go ahead and get some practice with test rockets.
Sounds good. ROA, this is RSO.
Go for ROA.
You can check 192.
Check 191.
Copy, check 191, 192.
Now, Vincent, the trick to staying up late, the staying up late part's the easy part. It's tomorrow where you have to try to, when you're tired, still maintain enough energy to get through the day. That's the tricky part. I'm going to guess you don't drink coffee yet. Juice might
So we
help.
have
Let's listen in.
completed the payload checks with the rocket in the vertical position. Now we are waiting on the science update from Dr. Galeazzi from the University of Miami. And once we get that and see how the science conditions are looking with the solar winds, then we'll be able to determine, get a little bit better idea of what it looks like for launch tonight when that might happen. So just stay tuned here for a couple minutes and we'll get you that live.
That voice right there is the public information officer at NASA Wallops flight facility there. I'm trying to make sure that my audio levels and their audio levels are fairly level for you guys so that I don't come on super loud or vice versa. So if there's a problem in the comments, let me know. Certainly when they're dealing with their radio communications, some people talk louder into radios than others. So it's a little tricky on my side, but I'm trying to keep an eye on some of those balance levels. Mike, I'm going to try to stay up as long as I can too. This launch window going for another 3.5 hours.
This is PI. We'll be ready for a space weather update in 2 to 5 minutes.
TD copies.
And I think this is one of the things that brings so many weather fans out for space launches is the impact of the weather in all of these launches. That's why we have an entire series and playlist on our YouTube channel dedicated to all our shows about space. I do have to stay up, Mike, don't I? Take my own advice and need lots of coffee then tomorrow. Has anybody ever seen a rocket launch in person?
TD,
I have
LPM.
not had the privilege.
TD.
Yes, sir. Is there any harm in us going ahead and coming down to 60 degrees to get ready?
I don't see any on my end. All right, so you go with it?
RSO concurs.
LPM, proceed as requested.
Copy that. We are en route to 60-degree elevation.
All right, so very slowly now, this rocket in front of us on this big arm is going to move to 60 degrees off the horizon. I'll leave this full screen. I don't think it's going to happen quickly. Something that would otherwise be best viewed through time-lapse. Michael, you've got coffee. What are you drinking? What are you drinking and how do you take it? My Achilles heel is I take way too much cream in coffee. All right, NASA's clearly got control of this camera. There you go. As they zoom in, and if you watch, you can actually see it moving now a little bit clearer I was going to say use the water tower as a reference, but then they kind of panned away. I'm grateful that NASA Wallops does have these cameras and streams this. Let's listen in here.
Okay, shortly here, they'll be lowering the rocket to about 60 degrees elevation. At that point, that once we get the go-ahead for launch, they will cut what they call the belly band, which is basically a strap that is supporting the rocket to the launcher. And then once that is done, then they will raise the rocket back up to the launch position and allow us to launch.
That is the voice of the NASA Wallops host, the public information officer, chiming in with some additional information as we continue to watch the rocket here readjusting to 60 degrees. I think they're going to do what they can to set up for this launch as they, too, join us in the waiting game. Michael, it's cream and sugar for you in the coffee. Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel like I would love to work out some of those extra additives, but haven't been able to do it. Sebastian's making tea here at 11:30 on this Saturday night. I'm James Brierton. You're watching live coverage of what we hope to be a rocket launch from the NASA flight facility in Virginia. Our channel is dedicated to covering all things space, weather, technology, and more from the Carolinas and beyond. So if you're watching us tonight from beyond the Carolinas, I hope you will come back to check out more from us. We're not exclusively about the Carolinas. It's just where we call home. Let's take a look at where this rocket will be visible if and when it gets off the ground here. About 0 to 10 seconds across the southern tip of the Delmarva Peninsula, nearest, of course, to the Wallops facility, is where you'll be able to see this. Working our way through a bullseye from beyond there includes southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the I-95 corridor into the east of Virginia, and northeastern North Carolina, about 10 to 30 seconds after the launch. And then purple is our final ring tonight, with a circumference from Long Island, New York, New Jersey, a lot of Pennsylvania, not quite Pittsburgh, but I know we got Philly in the house, portions of West Virginia, and our home turf here in North Carolina as far in towards Greensboro and Raleigh. Just shy of Wilmington. No show for me here in Charlotte. No show for Radio Man in Asheville tonight. It'll be about 3 degrees off the horizon when this rocket does finally get off the ground. You'll only really be able to see it for 10, 15 seconds or so. It will be brief as we continue to await the resuming of the launch countdown. By the way, I'm just going to end up eating more words as the hour, of course, gets later and later. Let's take our pictures full here from NASA Wallops as they've zoomed way on in. We get a clearer look at the arm that this rocket is strapped onto. I know they've talked about the band as well that is keeping it strapped onto the rocket. I'm even eyeing here what looks to be like an orange sandbag.
Go for TD.
Is there an update right now on surveillance? Is the range green?
Stand by, we can get one. SCTD.
Go ahead, TD.
Yeah. Status of the range, are we green?
Yes, sir. I believe we're green. I don't have the exact numbers, but we're only tracking one boat inside the hazard area, and it's on its way out.
Copy. RSO, you concur?
RSO concurs, working no issues.
They're worried about boats out in the water where the rocket's going to come on down. They have a hazard zone set up.
Space weather looks good. We are willing to go for midnight local time.
Okay.
Copy all. Programmer TD.
Programmer.
Status up for T005.
Roger. 0500.
So this means we are not going to do test rockets for the night.
RC copies.
PI checks 197 and 198.
Check 199. Launcher's at 60-degree elevation.
There you have it, folks. T-minus 25 minutes until midnight local time here on the East Coast when we can anticipate this rocket will
clear to
launch.
release the belly band. We're ready.
And there you just saw the belly band being released. It's falling away
Check
from the rocket.
200. Belly band has been released.
And so now the rocket will be raised back up into the launch position. And it sounds like we're targeting a midnight launch.
Check 202. We just got 203.
MNO, perform end-to-end playback.
Make a check 201. PM to 70, that's complete.
Copy. Check 204.
I agree with you, Mike. Belly band, amazing scientific word. Yes, it is. Well, this should make the countdown fairly easy as we await the top of the hour, midnight Eastern time, T-minus just under 24 minutes now for this sounding rocket to launch. I'm James Brierton, hanging out with you from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the Carolina Weather Net, our non-stop YouTube stream powered by the Best of the Carolina Weather Group with live space coverage and the Best of the Carolina Weather Group when we're not in space coverage. So I would invite you to come on back and check that out anytime you'd like right here on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. It's free. You can watch it any place you watch YouTube, including the device you're on right now. No subscription fee, no cable, no satellite, none of that. That's good.
And the DXL mission tonight is hoping to shed some light on the sources of soft X-rays that are moving towards the Earth from elsewhere in our galaxy. While these X-rays are not harmful to humans on Earth, they may have an effect and can disturb radio communications and the accuracy of GPS navigation systems. And so basically, we're trying to look at and trying to understand a little bit better the sources of these X-rays.
I was waiting to see if the public information officer was going to say more. I can still hear that his microphone is open. I hear him breathing, but not talking into it. So while we wait, here's again a look at who might be able to see this in the night sky, clouds permitting, along the portions of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, including here in North Carolina. 45 seconds after launch, it will no longer be visible.
Channel 1.
Go for our way.
I've got wind-weighted settings for you if you're ready.
Stand by. Go ahead.
Wind-weighted settings are azimuth 84.4, elevation 81.9.
I copy. Azimuth 84.4, elevation 81.9.
Good readback.
206.
Coming up on T minus
MM, you
20
good with
minutes.
us going to wind rating settings, or you want to wait?
This is MM. Nope, go ahead to wind weighted settings.
LC, this is ROA. Set launcher to wind weighted settings off. Azimuth 84.4. Elevation 81.9. Confirm.
And work.
And you hear now that they are setting the launcher for the wind weighted settings. Wind weighting is a process that we use for determining how we want to point the rocket at launch. These are unguided rockets, so it's kind of like shooting an arrow. So we have to, we know what the target is in space, and so in order to get there, we have to adjust for the winds
ACS check 205.
that the rocket will encounter during its flight. And so in order to do that, about 5 hours before launch, we've been sending up balloons, and that provides us a profile of the winds up into space, up to about 100,000 feet, actually. And for those of you who are watching the broadcast and want to get out and try to catch the launch, you may be able to see it if you have clear skies. It should be good visibility up in the Mid-Atlantic area, all the way up to northern New Jersey, and in the parts of Pennsylvania, and even in Virginia out to the Blue Ridge Mountains, or Skyline Drive, and even North Carolina, especially along the coast there.
But not the Blue Ridge of North Carolina. Just the Blue Ridge of Virginia. There's the map on the screen to go along with what the public information officer was telling you a few moments ago, mentioning the Blue Ridge of Virginia and West Virginia, I believe he was referencing, because as you can see, Blue Ridge of North Carolina. Not in tonight's, although it was in May, as many of you, I think, were also here for that launch coverage. Let's listen in again.
And shortly, the range will be conducting the poll to proceed to the terminal count for this mission.
If you're just joining us, a sounding rocket from NASA Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia.
LC. Settings are azimuth 84.4, elevation 81.9.
That is a good copy. Check step 207.
It's going to be studying soft X-rays in the atmosphere. Soft X-rays interfere with radio signals, radio, GPS, and the like, and the origin of those soft X-rays are unknown. They're different than hard X-rays, which we use for medical imagery. We're targeting the top of the hour, 12 midnight Eastern time, about 16 minutes from now. And there'll be a couple cameras just like this on the ground. I'll tell you right now, if you're watching with me online, don't expect this to look like a SpaceX launch with multiple cameras on board and made for Hollywood movie or anything like that. I'm grateful that NASA Wallops provides us this feed, but I know I'm starting to get spoiled by those SpaceX productions. I had asked some of you earlier if you had ever seen a rocket launch in person. I have not. I can remember years ago waiting for shuttle launches from Kennedy. But they were delayed. It never happened during the week I was there. I had a comment earlier from somebody who shared a story. Let me scroll back up in my feed here. Michael said he's not actually seen a launch at a launch site, but did witness the launch in May that we replayed earlier here on tonight's coverage on the Carolina Weather Net. And the viewing areas at the Wallops flight facility in Virginia closed due to the coronavirus pandemic, as they have been for the past 2 years or so now. Another reason we are grateful that they provide these live pictures to us and the public so we can continue to watch their science at work.
This is 36.363. Terrier, Black Brant, launching from Pad 2, 50K launcher. Please stand by for station checks to proceed with the terminal count. All stations should announce status as green or red on channel 1. RC.
RC green.
M&O.
M&O is green.
LWO.
LO green.
Programmer.
Programmer green.
LC.
LC's green.
LPM.
LPM green.
PLC.
PLC green.
PTM.
PTM green.
ACS.
ACS is green.
VS.
VS green.
SCO.
SCO is green.
PI.
PI is green.
MM.
MM is green.
SRPO.
SRPO green.
PM.
PM is green.
RSO.
RSO is green.
TD.
TD is green. All stations are responsible for reviewing the go, no-go criteria listed in the OD. Only stations annotated with an asterisk in previous step are permitted to call a hold. All the sites report red. Check item 209.
Check 209.
And there you heard it. That sounds like everybody is good for tonight's launch. Again, we're targeting midnight for tonight's launch.
"13 minutes left in the countdown. I'll let you know, due to the way the internet
Also,
works.
just a reminder for those who are looking to go outside and try to catch the launch, that if you're watching the stream, which you obviously are if you're hearing this, that there is a short delay from what you're hearing in actual events at Wallops, so take that into account when you want to go outside and catch the launch.
That's what I was going to say. I would say the launch delay, the pictures delayed, could be upwards of a minute. So I'm sure for those of you who are trying to go outside, I would plan to be out there no later than T-minus 2 minutes. Because by the time the pictures get encoded, sent out over the internet, brought in here, and then put back out, I would say it's probably a good minute. Question, will people in North Carolina and Charlotte be able to see this? No, unfortunately not. And I am right there with you at our broadcast setup here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here again is the map of where this will be visible.
210.
And during the count, you'll hear them yell out numbers to check off. These are steps that would end the countdown for tonight launch. So there are approximately 230 or so, 240 steps that we are going through for tonight's launch.
If you're just joining us with about 10 minutes left here on the launch countdown, the rocket is right there in front of us in the middle of your screen. It's on a big iron arm, and it's going to shoot off. I think I heard the comparison to a bow and arrow earlier, or a slingshot. These are much smaller than, say, the SpaceX launches, or I'll even say a shuttle launch, if you remember back to those days. These are live pictures from the Wallops Flight Facility, operated by NASA in Virginia. Scientists are looking to learn more about the origins of soft X-rays in the atmosphere. They interfere with radio signals. Their origins unknown.
T-minus 10 minutes.
M&O start recorders.
Recorder started.
Copy, check 212.
A little bit more for you about soft
ATS
X-rays.
Check 214. PLC check 213.
Soft X-rays are not harmful to humans on Earth. They live in the ionosphere, and they can disturb radio signals and accuracy of things like GPS devices. They have a lower energy.
M&O set ground station levels and confirm.
VS check 215.
PM M&O 216, 217. Ground levels confirmed. Confirmed nominal.
Copy.
Soft X-rays have a lower energy compared to hard X-rays used for medical applications.
Code.
It worked. PLC check 220 and 222.
A primary investigator on tonight's mission is from the University of Miami.
ATM check 218, 221, and 223.
And PMRC.
Go ahead.
Good lock on transponder, good 5 code.
Copy, check 219.
This is the fourth flight for DXL. The first flight in 2012 confirmed the local hot bubble as a source of X-rays. Data from the flight indicated that only about 40% of soft X-ray background originates within the solar systems. Some notes here from NASA Wallops. Tonight's launch was delayed for a couple different nights due to atmospheric conditions, weather amongst them. And then we were waiting tonight because of solar winds. Science officer giving us the green light just a short time ago as we continue to count down this launch here. Expected for the top of the hour.
RSO, please provide wind-weighted settings.
In work.
So while scientists do know that soft X-rays have two sources, one of which is here in the solar system and generated by solar wind charge, they're trying to understand more about the characteristics of those sources.
As follows: azimuth 87.4, 81.2.
Copy. Final wind-weighted settings are azimuth 87.4, elevation 81.2.
Good readback.
Check 225. LC, this is ROA.
This is LC.
Set launcher to wind-weighted settings and confirm. Azimuth 87.4, elevation 81.2.
In work.
PI, this is ACS. Please provide azimuth input target.
PI check 227. SES, the azimuth target is 0.7. Check 228.
PI, this is ACS, just to confirm. As 0.7 for the input target. Check 229.
ROA, this is LC. The settings are azimuth 87.4, elevation 81.2.
That is a good copy. Check 226.
If you're intending to go outside to try to view tonight's launch, now is the time to bundle up and head outside. We have about a minute delay on the stream coming to us from NASA. We're not adding any delay to it. That's just how the nature of the internet works. When you bounce signals around, you have to buffer them out. So,
and in just a couple minutes,
make sure you don't miss it.
Payload systems will be switching from external to internal power.
If you do manage to capture any pictures or video of tonight's launch, I'll be standing by after the launch monitoring our Twitter feed at Carolina WX Group. That's Carolina WX Group on Twitter. See if any of you have pictures to share with us as we await 4 minutes to this launch. Here again is the areas where you'll be able to see tonight's launch. Look for it about 3 degrees off the horizon, assuming you don't have any tree lines in the way. And a quick look at weather satellite. We do have some clouds. There are some areas with clouds, not widespread. Some of you may have some disruption of clouds tonight. This is James Brierton in Charlotte, preparing to hand things off to the audio being provided to us from the NASA Wallops Flight Facility as we continue to count down T-minus 3 minutes to the launch of this sounding rocket from the Virginia coastline, right here on the Carolina Weather Net. Glad you're with us tonight.
ACS check 235.
VS check 237.
ACS check 236.
PLC check 230, 231, 232, 233, and 234.
PTM check 240, 242, and 244.
MNO, can you verify no change to signal strength and deviation for all links on internal power and verify nominal levels?
PM MNO 238, no change and confirm nominal.
Copy.
PI check 247.
RC, can you verify good transponder signal on internal?
T-minus 2 minutes.
RC
has a good transponder, no change.
PLC check 243.
ACS check 246.
Coming up is the final pull for launch.
This is MM polling for readiness for launch. PTM.
Go.
PLC.
Go.
ACS.
ACS go.
VS.
VS go.
PI.
PI go.
NASROC systems are go. MM check 248, 249.
60 seconds and counting. 30
Carrier
seconds.
arm, check 250.
PLC, check 251, 252, 253, and 255.
20 seconds.
PI, check 254.
PTM check 256.
ACS check 257.
10,
10 seconds.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
Radars 5 and 18 are tracking.
Ignition.
We'll continue to listen in for tracking information.
RSO, this is LPM. We're requesting permission to allow fire department to the pad.
That's normal.
This RSO, you're clear to proceed.
Copy that.
NASA Wallops asking you to tweet them pictures at NASA_Wallops. You can also send them to us here at Carolina WX Group.
Spin and separation.
And the payload is now separated from the second stage motor.
DXL latch open.
Payload is stable on target 4.
DXL door open.
All radars are tracking the payload. No track on the booster.
There are no cameras aboard this rocket. Audio will be our guiding light.
RSO, this LPM. We clear to proceed out to the pad to unlock the gate for the fire department.
Clear to proceed.
Copy that. En route.
Fire department's arrival on the pad is not unusual. It would be standard here as we continue to look at these live pictures of that launch facility.
This is PI. Looks like we have good data.
But on Twitter, seeing in Cambridge, Maryland. Fortunately, Sebastian seems to be missing it right now. It is probably at this point out of visibility for anyone in that night sky, only trackable by radar. Sorry you missed it there in Greensboro, Sebastian. 3 degrees off the horizon. Not terribly high. There's probably plenty of things that could be in the way. Do have a picture that was just sent into NASA via Twitter that I'm going to show you here as we watch the fire department arrival, just making sure that everything is good there at the launch pad. This is more or less what people saw in the night sky. Streaking light. This is from Carrie on Twitter. Sent this into NASA. Michael unfortunately missed it because of too many trees. That would be my problem as well here in Charlotte if Charlotte had been in that launch area. Sometimes the best view of these things is right on your screen. Timbo on Twitter saying the clouds rolled in for him in North Carolina, so he didn't get to see it. Sebastian's got clouds as well too. We'll pop those clouds up on the screen.
Target 6.
We are continuing to listen in to flight control from NASA Wallops, right here on the Carolina WeatherNet. Z-Town saw it. Disappeared fairly quickly, it sounds like. Glad you got a glimpse of it. Wes on Twitter says, saw it in Falls Church, which is Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. Tyler's got too many clouds and a house blocking it. Those darn homes.
Payload is stable on target 1.
Absolutely, Mike. Safety first, especially on these late night launches in the cold. We'll keep sticking around here for some more feedback. If you're going to be turning in for the evening, hope to see you back here on Wednesday night. We'll be talking nanosatellites on the Carolina Weather Group. Our weekly show kicks back off our 2022 season at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. Nanosatellites. It's going to be a good one for you space fans. I finished my tea in time for bed, Sebastian. Good call. Good call. Thanks for hanging out with us here.
Sorry, so on channel 10.
Jason on Twitter saying he saw it for about 5 or 7 seconds in Springfield, Virginia.
We're cleared to release the uprange.
Mid-Atlantic here on your screen. Satellite at this hour. Certainly enough clouds out there to be daunting. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte with you on the Carolina WeatherNet. Michael, thanking us for the live feed. Heading off to bed. Thank you for watching and hanging out with us. Hope to see you again real soon. We're going to hang out a little bit longer and see what else we can learn about their initial preliminary observations tonight by listening into their radio communications.
DXL latch close.
Payload didn't spin up.
The Wallops launch facility, located on the Virginia coast, will have a launch early this year of a Northrop Grumman cargo resupply, CRS-17, launch date to be determined, but it'll be here at the Wallops range sometime in early of 2022. We hope to bring that to you as well. Michael adding us on Facebook and here on YouTube. Thank you so much. Mike, glad you found it fun and educational. Hopefully we'll catch you again as well. Jamie says clouds rolled in time for the launch in Nashville, North Carolina. John didn't get to see any either. I'm sorry you guys weren't able to see it in person. Hopefully you got a glimpse of the launch here on the YouTube stream. Otherwise, you should, of course, be able to rewind it. It disappears very, very quickly. It's cool stuff, but it disappears. We did have the privilege in May to catch a launch here on the Carolina WeatherNet, watched it live from the NASA feed, and then with our own camera positioned along the Outer Banks. If you were with us earlier in the night, you got a chance to watch that with us, and that was a really, really cool experience to have a photographer on the beach showing us what some of you were being able to see on that particular launch night. And we were also joined by Tony Rice of Raleigh, North Carolina. He's a NASA ambassador who was giving us lots of insights. So you can check that out in the space playlist of the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel, especially if this is your cup of tea. We didn't get a chance to send our own camera out tonight. This launch was delayed several times, and you just never know when it's actually going to take off. Mike, no worries on not doing social media. If you can like us and follow us here, that'd be great.
We had a good flight tonight of the DXL mission. Launch occurred at midnight, and as you may have heard, the principal investigator, Dr. Galeazzi from Miami, reported that good data was being received from the payload. So about this time, the payload will be coming in by parachute, landing about 100 miles off the coast of Wallops in the Atlantic Ocean. We'll have a ship called the Tiki-14 out of Lewis, Delaware, actually is out there, and it will recover the payload, and it will return it back to Ocean City, Maryland, for us to go out and pick it up from there.
TD, LPM.
Go for TD.
Yes, sir. Are we clear to bring down the launcher? Do we need any measurements?
Standby 1. SRPO, MM, do we need any measurements?
Yeah, I think so. It came out of there really low. It seemed it'd be good to get an elevation check.
Copy. Copy, LPM.
A couple of Twitter videos here. You can see what it looked like in the night sky. A very fast-moving, bright little, relatively small light.
So
Payload is on the chute.
And the payload is now on parachute in its final descent from its flight. Again, it will hopefully get it recovered tonight, and then return it to Ocean City. Expected return into Ocean City tomorrow or later this evening, because this is Sunday. So hopefully we'll get it back at that time. So the next launch from Wallops is Northrop Grumman's Antares rocket. A launch date and time is expected later this week to be announced. And the next NASA Santa rocket launch is in late February, and we'll be heading north to Poker Flat, Alaska.
DSPI, both DXL onboard bottles are below 100 psi.
We'll be launching from the range up there with the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So thanks for joining us tonight. It sounds like we had a good flight, and stay tuned for our next launch. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
And that was the voice of the public information officer hosting the NASA Wallops feed, which is now gone offline here at 12:12 a.m. I'm James Brereton in Charlotte, and we're going to wrap things up here on the Carolina Weather Net as well. Thank you for hanging out with us and making this a social experience as we watched yet another rocket successfully launch from the coast of Virginia. I hope if you're new to the Carolina Weather Net, you like and subscribe. We'll be back Wednesday night with an all-new episode of our weekly interview show, and we're talking about nanosatellites, so you're not going to want to miss it. And if you need something before then, we'll be back at 7 a.m. with our Carolina Weather Net. It streams for free right here on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel with live weather conditions, sky cams, radar, and the best of our weekly show, the Carolina Weather Group. You can watch it anywhere you watch YouTube, from your smartphone to your smart TV. It's absolutely free. I'm James Brereton. Again, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Stay warm out there. I know it's real cold in so many places. We'll see you back here Wednesday night on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube. Good night.